Hi, and welcome to part 2 of DealerClick training for the sales module. In the last video, I covered the inventory section. In this video, I will take you through the process of creating and closing out a basic deal. To start, you can grab the customer's information either by going to Prospect or by going to Last Name. Either option will take you to the same screen, which is the customer information screen. You'll notice that the first three tabs are Buyer, Spouse, and Co-Buyer. The Buyer tab is pretty obvious, but the Spouse and Co-Buyer tab may not be. The difference between the two, if the spouse is the co-buyer, in the upper left, check the spouse as co-buyer option. This tells the system to pull the cosigner information from the spouse tab. Now, if the spouse is not the cosigner but is putting their information on the deal, simply leave this unchecked, but you can still fill out this information in here. However, because this is unchecked, the system will then go to the co-buyer tab to pull the information, so you can fill out the co-buyer's official information in here. From here, you can add the buyer's employment information. You can add any old addresses they may be associated with still. You could add their current car insurance information, their current income information, any references, and miscellaneous would be a mailing address other than maybe where they're currently living at the moment. Everything from unemployment over to miscellaneous is optional. It will not affect the deal. It's simply extra information that's attached to the customer for your records. Going back to the buyer tab, when you're entering the information in, as you get to the current address, when you get to the zip code, if you type in their zip code, let's say I type in ours, and 2707. If there are multiple cities associated with the same zip code, you're going to get this pop-up window. You can then choose your options, click OK, and the information will auto-populate for you. If there's only one city associated with that zip code, then the information will auto-populate without that pop-up coming up. After you finish this and you continue filling in the rest of the information that you desire, go back to the deal screen, and you're going to notice the county information is auto-populated based off the zip code. And beyond that, you have the tax information. The tax information is connected to the counties, so as this auto-populated, if you click on counties, or taxes rather, you're going to notice the 8% is already auto-filled in based off the county that was auto-populated. From here, the next thing to do would be to get attach the car to the deal. To do this, you can go about this one of two ways. If you know the stock number off the top of your head, you can type in the stock number. As you can see, I entered the first stock number being 1, and the car's information attached up here. By clicking into any other field, I also put an asking price of $10,000 in the car. That was automatically carried into the deal as well. Another way to attach the car would be just to click on Select Vehicle. This will show you all your available and pending vehicles. The difference between the available and pending vehicles, just so you know, available means the car is in your inventory but is not yet attached to any deals. Pending means it is attached to at least one or more deals already, but because it's not yet sold, you can still attach it to further deals. Okay, so once you've selected the car, your information again, the stock number is going to populate in here, but it's also going to populate up here, giving the stock number, the year, make, and the model of the car. At this point, with the price auto-populating, if you're working on a deal and you want to change the price of the vehicle, let's say you're working with a $1,000 vehicle in this case, and you want to lower the price to $8,000, or they're working a deal on you to get you that low, you can change the price in here at that time, and it's not going to affect the overall price of the vehicle in your inventory. It's only going to affect the price of the vehicle for this one particular deal. Below that, you can enter the rebate and cash down amount if there is any. You can enter the allowance for a trade-in if there is any. And to add a trade-in to the deal, you're going to click on the trade-in button. To add the first trade-in, you're going to click on Edit 1. And the same thing goes for the second trade-in. You just click on the Edit 2 button. For this, you're going to add the stock number, the VIN number, the full 17 characters. Click on Decode, just as we did in the inventory section. And the information is going to auto-populate for you based on the decoding. Once you're finished, click on the Close option, and the information on the car is now saved to the deal. Now, it's saved as a trade-in status to this current deal. It remains as a trade-in status until you transfer this deal to sold, at which time the trade-in will automatically be transferred to an available vehicle in your inventory section. From here, you can enter the payoff amount below that if you'd like, and then you have loan periods. The loan options, there are several in here, but the most commonly used are monthly and cash. Now, if I was to choose cash, you notice there's 23 payments of this amount. So if I choose cash, the payments adjust accordingly. So cash is usually a one-time deal. So you have one payment of this amount based on the price and taxes. If I was to go back to monthly, I can then say how many terms I want to go for. So let's say I want to do 15. And let's say I'm going to do 30 days to the first payment. Over on the right, you're going to notice date of sale is today's date. The first due date is 30 days from the current date. And then you have the final due date, which is based off of the amount to first payment, and then the terms after that. Below that, you have the 14 payments of this amount, and then the final payment of that amount. At this point, the only thing left to do is to save the deal, print the contracts, and transfer to sold. Before I save the deal, let me go ahead and put in a name. Now I'm going to save it. And the reason I said print the contracts before transferring to sold is for two reasons. First, you can print the contracts whether the deal is in a pending status or a sold status. It's simply a status for the deal. It doesn't affect any of the information or numbers within the deal either way. The second reason is because when you're in the process of transferring the deal to sold, you will be displaying the back-end information of the deal, like the actual price of the car and the profit you will be making on the deal, etc. Obviously, you don't want the customer to see any of that information, so that's why you would hold off on that part till later. Now, for any of you who are worried about losing the deal due to closing it before transferring to sold, because the deal is saved, you don't have to worry about losing any of the information when you close it out or open another deal over it. You can always come back to it later to transfer to sold. It's not something that must be done on spot. And so you know, the main difference between a pending and sold status is a pending deal is an open deal. And by open, I mean it will allow you to make changes to the deal and save them easily. A sold deal means the deal is locked. Therefore, you don't make changes to it, at least not until unwinding the deal first, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So right now we have the deal saved. To get to the contracts, you have your forms button up here. Just to the right, you have a little down arrow. If you click on the forms button itself, it's going to take you straight to the dot matrix forms. If you want to choose between dot matrix and plain paper, you click the little down arrow to the right and you have an option between the two. Plain paper forms are the normal 8.5 by 11 paper forms, the ones that come out of your standard laser printer. The dot matrix forms are the DMV contracts that you order. They are the multi-layered carbon fiber forms that you print with that form with the Oki Data printer. So if I wanted to choose between the two, and I choose the dot matrix for now, I go there. I'm going to get this pop-up. You click on continue, and for any time you go to the dot matrix forms, it's automatically going to ask you to save one more time. So you just click on yes, and it's going to present you with your forms. These will have state-specific forms as well as generic forms used for a wide variety of customers. At this point, you can kind of check the titles of the forms. The left title will be the actual title of the contract, and then the right numbers are basically the revision numbers and the dates on the contracts. These can be found at the very bottom on the left of the contracts. That way you can match the title to the revision date to make sure you are using the correct contracts. If you have any questions about that, you can always call in and ask. From here, you have the other forms, which are the plain paper forms. Again, these forms are printed on a normal standard laser printer. These are also a mixture of state-specific and generic forms. The cool thing about these forms is you can create form packs. Let's say you have a few different types of deals, and for each different deal type, you have a specific set of forms that you want to print for that deal type. You can create a form pack, title it whatever you want, maybe pertaining to that deal type, maybe like a cash deal or something, and you can attach the forms that you want to that specific pack, so every time you want to print them, you simply create print form pack, you choose your pack title, and then your forms are right there ready to go and print. Those are the forms. From here, the only thing left to do is to transfer the deal to sold status. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this can be done either now or later. To do it now, you're going to click on recap in the bottom left. You have your sales amount, your front and back end cost, and then your profit margins. The back end cost on this side is basically any service contracts or additional warranties that you added to the deal. From here, you click on continue with commissions, and then you can choose your salesperson's 1 or 2 or whoever else was involved in the deal in these drop downs, and then click on the details button. Set up a commission rate if you choose, set up a commission amount, bonus, other, however you want it done. Click on closed and then transfer to sold. What this does is it transfers the deal and the vehicle both to a sold status, and as you can see in the upper left corner, the deal is now sold status rather than pending status. You've now completed your deal within the system. The only thing left to do is to know how to unwind a sold deal, taking it back to pending so you can make changes and then transfer back to sold, as well as how to unwind a deal and then remove it completely from the system. To do either of these, you're going to open the sold deal. If you're in a different deal, to find the sold deal, you're going to go to open. On the left under status, it shows pending by default. Just select the drop down, click on sold. This will filter the options to show you your sold deals. From there you can open it. And from here, what you're going to do is go to File menu, and then Unwind Sold Deal. What this does is it takes it from a sold status into a pending status. Now you can make any changes you want within the deal. Once you're done, you simply click on Save, and then you can either transfer to sold one of two ways. Go to File, then transfer back to sold, or if you're more comfortable, you can go the more familiar route and go with Recap, continue with commissions, and then transfer it back to sold this way. Either option works. To remove a deal from the system completely, again, open the sold deal, you go to File, you go to Unwind Sold Deal, and from here, you're now ready to delete the deal. So go to File again, and hit Delete Deal. I'm not going to do that, but what this would do is it would remove the deal itself from the system. But what happens to the customer's information as well as the car that's attached? The car, if it's only attached to this deal, will return to an available status in the inventory. If it's attached to other deals still, it will be removed from this deal but remains in a pending status because it's attached to the other deals. As far as the customer information goes, when you do that, it's going to save the customer's information to the system in the background. To pull up the customer's information later, just go up to Customer Menu option and go to Previous Buyers, or you can hit the F8 key on the keyboard. Either option works. You find the customer in the list, you say OK, and when you do that, it automatically imports the buyer's information back into here just as it was when you first typed it. You can then, if the customer comes back in later on, you can use that option to pull up the customer's information so you don't have to retype it, attach it to the deal, and then continue from there. That is the process of creating a deal, closing it out, unwinding a deal to modify the information and transferring it back to sold, as well as removing a deal from the system entirely. That concludes the training for the sales module. Check out the next video. In part 3, I will actually be showing you how to set up some of the defaults in the system, such as seller fees, DMV fees, and adding users to the system and kind of running through some of the security.